4:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the country's two major political parties are locked in a war of words over the outcome of the general election.
The PNP is alleging irregularities, but the JLP says the claims are baseless and desperate.
The irregularities which took place there is being carefully scrutinized.
The party finds the position taken by the PNP to be baseless, to be frivolous.
Mark Golding endorsed to continue as opposition leader.
Embattled chairman of the Police Officers Association, Wayne Cameron, is the subject of an investigation by the fraud squad.
The government has condemned attempts by individuals to interfere with the execution of the Southern Coastal Highway project.
In news from the rest of the world, the UN has released an additional $9 million in emergency funding to Haiti.
The FBI has released images of a person of interest in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
In headline sports, Hillary Brown Nixon resigned as vice president of the ASAJ.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the opposition PNP has raised concerns about so-called election irregularities, despite the Electoral Commission of Jamaica certifying the September 3 results and observers declaring that they were free and fair. The JLP's representative on the ECJ, Tom Tavares Finson, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should Mark Golding resign as PNP president? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, we'll bring you a paid broadcast of the JLP's media briefing held today.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, RevaNews.ai, and on the Reva News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, September 11, 2025.
The hour is brought to you by the KFC Value Menu. Grab a chicken box, famous bowl, crunch sandwich, or small popcorn chicken with combos starting at just $620. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The opposition People's National Party, the PNP, has raised concerns over what they allege are election irregularities arising from last Wednesday's general election. While indicating the party would not seek magisterial recounts, the PNP president, Mark Golding, cited Prime Minister Andrew Holness's West Central St. Andrew constituency as requiring further scrutiny. He was addressing a media briefing today.
The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact...
And we apologize for that incorrect insert. The PNP also raised other concerns surrounding voter suppression. The party provided no evidence to support the concern. They're also pointing to the strategic use of government advertisements in the lead-up to the elections as an era requiring reform. Observer missions from the Organization of American States and CARICOM both endorsed the September 3 elections as free and fair of intimidation or harassment. The Electoral Office of Jamaica has also gone on record saying it has received no formal complaints from any group regarding potential election irregularities. But PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell says many of the irregularities raised by the PNP would not have been seen by these groups.
CAFE, CARICOM and other OAs, other persons that came here would not have been out in the field to see that $100,000 was offered to an indoor agent not to work, or offered to a cluster manager to give me the canvas of this party. They would not have seen that. They would not have seen what took place in the field. They would have been at the polling station, right? They would not have seen the night before that somebody was offered money to dip their finger in ink and therefore can't show up to the polling station. They would not have seen where we saw some persons, MPs, trying to separate people into lines as to who we are going to vote for. Totally inappropriate.
That's Dr. Dayton Campbell, the PNP General Secretary.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, has condemned the opposition People's National Party, PNP, for what it says is an attempt to call into question the legitimacy of the 2025 general election. The party's condemnation follows a media conference by the PNP in which its senior leadership raised questions about what they allege are irregularities that occurred on Election Day. The JLP says the PNP is guilty of baselessly impugning the competence and professionalism of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
A case of sour grapes. That's how the JLP is describing the PNP's protests about the outcome of the general election.
Sour grapes is how I am tempted to describe this response coming out of the elections. The facts are that they lost. The people have expressed their will to continue with this government, which we are grateful for. And what I would advise, even if it's not my place so to do, the PNP to do, is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine why they fell short and what they may need to do to be an effective opposition over the next term.
The JLP defeated the PNP, securing 35 seats in the election. The PNP secured 28. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, has certified the results following the official counting of ballots. The ECJ has also explicitly rejected allegations of impropriety in the conduct of elections and counting of ballots. JLP campaign chairman Dr. Christopher Tufton says the opposition should be condemned for their posture.
To suggest that that may have impacted the final results of the elections, to attempt to give an impression that somehow it may have impacted their number 2 or second place position, is, as far as we are concerned, guilty by hearsay, and that is what they're engaged in. And this is wrong, and we reject that, we condemn them for that, and we would ask them to either provide the evidence of this or cease and desist from making these wild accusations.
Dr. Tufton's also called into question the PNP's claims about voter suppression.
Their willingness to advance in an assertive way through a press conference that somehow voter suppression and vote buying may, and again, it's both explicitly stated but also implicitly transmitted, may have affected the outcome of the elections. Again, to our mind, is a case of sour grapes. And what they need to do is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine exactly what they may have done wrong to place them in that position. We don't mind because we have done well and we have made our point and our case to the Jamaican people.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Baseless, frivolous, and desperate. That's how JLP campaign spokesman Kamina Johnson-Smith is describing the PNP's decision to call into question the outcome of the election in West Central St. Andrew. Colicia Wright has that side of the story.
Kamina Johnson-Smith says the PNP's allegations about West Central St. Andrew show they have learned nothing from their recent election loss.
They spoke of irregularities, but gave no details of their allegations. They're broadly referencing social media again. And it's difficult to say anything other than that the party finds the position taken by the PNP in respect of St. Andrew West Central to be baseless, to be frivolous, to be yet another indicator of a sense of desperation and an unwillingness to face the results and enter into introspection.
West Central St. Andrew is represented in Parliament by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He's represented the seat since 1997. Dr. Holness defeated the PNP's Paul Buchanan by more than 2,000 votes in the September 3 general election. Mrs. Johnson-Smith stressed that none of the country's official electoral authorities have raised any concerns about the outcome or conduct of the election in the constituency.
Having consulted with the Jamaica Labour Party representatives on the ECJ, it's our information and our best information that the presiding officers, that the returning officer and the electoral day workers deployed in the polling stations on election day, including those in West Central, that none of them reported any irregularities in West Central St. Andrew to the designated authorities. We're also advised that the Electoral Office of Jamaica's Election Centre, where representatives of both major political parties sit, along with several wide-ranging independent representatives, received absolutely no complaints about any irregularity in St. Andrew West Central.
Mrs. Johnson-Smith stressed that the constituted authority received no reports of irregularities in the constituency. She says the Prime Minister's winning margin is in keeping with the history and electoral voting pattern of the seat.
The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact, in particular, in respect of the Seaward primary polling stations, which were the last ones to come in, I think everyone remembers the nail-biting moments where the television stations had the Prime Minister as trailing, I believe was the language used, because those winning boxes were not in. And they're not winning boxes this election. Every election, the electors who vote in Seaward primary polling stations vote overwhelmingly in support of their preferred candidate, Andrew Michael Holness.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
The majority of the opposition MPs headed to Parliament have formally written to the Governor-General endorsing Mark Golding as opposition leader. Addressing a media briefing today, the PNP president says 27 of the 28 MPs have given him the nod to continue in his role when the Parliament reconvenes. Similarly, Mr. Golding has brushed aside suggestions that he offer his resignation following the recent election defeat. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
With the dust now settled from last week's general election, PNP President Mark Golding has moved to secure his position as opposition leader in the House of Representatives. According to the PNP President, their slate of MPs have already expressed their vote of confidence in his leadership.
I am happy to announce that all our MPs-elect, except for one who is traveling abroad, have signed a letter to the Governor-General confirming their support for me to be appointed leader of the opposition. Since the election, our party has been active. A meeting of the officers of the party was held yesterday to discuss the way forward and internal issues that we need to chart a time frame for relating to things like our various internal conferences, annual conference, and so on. This was followed by another gathering of our candidates and the national campaign team to thank everyone for their efforts and to have initial dialogue around the conduct of the elections in each constituency.
The move is being seen as an attempt to shore up Mr. Golding's position following last week's election defeat. Political watchers have been speculating whether a potential challenger could emerge to Golding's leadership. Already, the PNP Patriots have thrown their support behind Golding. Two of the former PNP presidents, Portia Simpson-Miller and Dr. Peter Phillips, stepped aside following their general election defeats in 2016 and 2020 at the hands of Andrew Holness. But when asked if he would do the same, Mr. Golding had this to say.
You know, there have been instances where party leaders have offered their resignation. There have been instances where they haven't, to my knowledge. I serve at the pleasure of the party, and, you know, I'm happy to continue to serve in the capacity as leader for as long as the party wants me to. And thus far, all of the MPs who have been elected, all 28 other than one who's overseas traveling, have signed a letter confirming that they have confidence in me and want me to be the leader of the opposition. Right. And that's where it is right now.
It should be noted that the South St. Andrew MP declined to sign a similar letter in 2020, endorsing Dr. Phillips as opposition leader. Mr. Golding also called into question the then appointments to the Senate by what he deemed a lame duck leader. Meanwhile, Mr. Golding says while he's disappointed in the election result, he believes the party has grown in strength.
We increased our vote nationally in this election by over 97,000 Jamaicans, and we doubled the number of seats that we hold in Parliament from 14 to 28. Our team in Parliament is strong, and we will be a formidable force in the Parliament of the land to hold the government to account and to defend the rights and interests of the Jamaican people.
Mr. Golding was flanked by General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell and West St. Andrew MP Anthony Hilton. No other members of the PNP's executive or slate of MP-elects were present at the media conference. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
If a hurricane mash up your house tomorrow, would your insurance fully cover it? Many Jamaicans are underinsured and don't even know it. One hurricane and they could be paying millions out of pocket. BCIC's free property valuation tool is here to help everyone update their home's rebuilding cost. Plus, when you update your sum insured with BCIC, you'll get $5 million in free contents insurance and up to 12 months to pay. Visit bciconline.com.
Continuing the news, Nationwide News understands that embattled chairman of the Police Officers Association, the POA, Senior Superintendent Wayne Cameron, is the subject of an investigation by the Fraud Squad concerning finances of the organization. Our sources say that is just one of the reasons that prompted Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake to ask the SSP to vacate his role as POA chairman. As we hear in this report from Roby and Williams, there have been several other allegations against SSP Cameron by the Police High Command.
Sources close to the Police High Command say investigators of the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Fraud Squad are probing irregularities involving POA accounts that SSP Wayne Cameron has direct control over. SSP Cameron was first elected POA chairman in 2019 and re-elected in 2022. Since then, there have reportedly been no elections with no inclination to hold them. Sources say his continued holding of the office of chairman is undemocratic, as elections are long overdue and there's been no good reason for the continued delay. Further, it's understood that some time ago, SSP Wayne Cameron was asked to work under Assistant Commissioner of Police Marlon Nesbitt, who at the time had less than a year to go before retirement. Sources say it was clearly stated to SSP Cameron that he was to work with the ACP on a development plan for a particular branch of the JCF. SSP Cameron allegedly said that Nesbitt wasn't competent enough to lead him. Sources say he instead went on a long vacation leave. Sources say when his leave expired, there were still a few days to go before ACP Nesbitt's departure. SSP Cameron reportedly went on sick leave as part of his continued protest. Upon his return, SSP Cameron was transferred to the Area 5 headquarters, a transfer he reportedly refused to take up. Sources say SSP Cameron put in writing that he would not take up the transfer because acting ACP Christopher Phillips was not competent to supervise him. Sources say during that same period, SSP Cameron was among a group of 4 SSPs who Commissioner Blake was making representation to the Police Services Commission for promotion to the rank of ACP. During this time, SSP Cameron reportedly wrote to the Police Services Commission complaining that the commissioner was blocking his promotion. In January 2025, Wayne Joseph, Michael Phipps, and Christopher Phillips were all promoted to ACP. SSP Cameron was not. Sources say the POA chairman has filed a grievance procedure against Dr. Blake with the Commission. It's understood that shortly after Dr. Blake's appointment as Commissioner, SSP Cameron criticized the Commission's choice in writing. During the years of the COVID pandemic, SSP Cameron was cited on multiple occasions for breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act. The matter was reportedly referred to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for ruling and referred to iProbe for disciplinary proceedings. Nationwide News has reached out to SSP Cameron and made him aware of all the claims being made against him. We also told him that we were crafting a story based on the claims and invited him to respond. Up to news time, he had yet to take up our offer. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Nationwide News recently published a story claiming voters at 21% of polling stations who were in the lines after 5 p.m. on General Election Day last Wednesday were not allowed to vote. The story was based on a statement from Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections CAFE. We did put the matter to Director of Elections Glaspell Brown, who strongly refuted the claim. We reached out to CAFE to confirm the report, but were unsuccessful in our attempt to reach its chairman, Grace Baston. Other senior members of CAFE declined to speak, citing the absence of any directive from its chairman. We've subsequently received information where Grace Baston denies that CAFE made the 21% assertion. Upon reflection, we accept our framing of the story may have led some people to believe an assertion that we are now satisfied CAFE did not make. We apologize for the error.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. The United Nations has released an additional $9 million in emergency funding to Haiti as the country reels from escalating gang violence. The funds come from the UN Central Emergency Response Fund. It's intended to support displaced families and host communities in Haiti where shortages of food, water, healthcare, and protection are increasingly dire.
The FBI has released images of a person of interest in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The Bureau is also offering a $100,000 reward for information. Kirk died on Wednesday after being shot in the neck at a campus event at the Utah Valley University. The killer is still at large, but a high-powered rifle has been found in nearby woods. 2 people who were questioned by the police have since been released. The suspect is believed to have jumped from a roof and fled into a neighborhood after firing the shot. He has not yet been identified. The circumstances of the shooting has drawn renewed attention to an escalating threat of political violence in the United States.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the country's 2 major political parties are locked in a war of words over the outcome of the general election.
The PNP is alleging irregularities, but the JLP says the claims are baseless and desperate.
Mark Golding officially endorsed to continue as opposition leader.
Embattled chairman of the Police Officers Association, SSP Wayne Cameron, is the subject of an investigation by the Fraud Squad.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at www.revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on Noel Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant ridge. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Due to our live broadcast of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to run from September 12 to 20, there will be no airing of Nationwide this morning. The early morning news package will resume following the conclusion of the games. Nationwide apologizes for the inconvenience caused.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Good afternoon, it's your sports report. I'm Alex Raby.
And I'm Maureen Buchanan.
We start with some swimming, as President of the Aquatic Sports Association of Jamaica, Lance Rochester, has confirmed that Hilary Brown Nixon has tendered her resignation as Vice President in charge of competitive swimming. Brown Nixon, who was elected unopposed to the executive position in December 2023, stepped down less than 2 years in her term. While the circumstances surrounding her resignation have not been detailed publicly, Rochester expressed gratitude for her contribution to the sport during her tenure.
We are committed to ensuring a seamless transition. We have a technical committee in place that will ensure that everything gets delivered as it should be, and the VP has left the portfolio in a strong state of affairs as we transition towards the remainder of the year into our AGM in December.
Rochester assured the stakeholders that the ASAJ has measures in place to ensure continuity in the competitive swimming program.
We always have a technical committee which supports the ASAJ board and supports the Vice President directly. So in addition to the elected officers, we'll continue to ensure that there is the high standard of output from the swimming portfolio. But no, we're not looking at any emergency meeting at this time. In any case, if we were to have an interim Vice President, we would not need an emergency meeting. The board can co-opt someone if it so desires.
Lance Rochester.
Two-time Olympic silver medalist Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn believes the Jamaican trio of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Sherika Jackson and Tina Clayton have a real shot at making the podium at the upcoming World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
Can feel it, so where everybody is going to be prepared on the day. And no matter what you have done last week, it's who is more prepared on the day. You're going to have rounds. You're going to have different things playing on that day. And I definitely believe that the Jamaicans, the trio that we have, anyone can medal.
Cuthbert-Flynn explained that all three female sprinters will have a point to prove at the Global Championship.
I think Tia Clayton, she's coming into her own. Sherika Jackson, no, we have not seen a lot of her this year because of the injury she suffered last year. But I believe if, she can put her race together, she definitely has a chance to medal. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, you can never count her out. She's a veteran. Yes, she's run a few races so far, but on the day, she's a true champion, and I believe that there is a possibility for her to also get a medal in 100 meters. So the Jamaicans, on a whole, will not be left out in the medal count in the 100 meters.
Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn. Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, starting on Friday at 6 p.m.
This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown. Now, as the countdown to the World Athletics Championships Tokyo 25 continues, we highlight that before Jamaica women won individual major titles, the country earned its first senior global gold in women's event when winning the 4x100 meters relay in Tokyo in 1991. Merlin Otte, who had earned bronze in the 100 and 200 meters, ran a storming anchor leg, lifting the country to goal in a time of 41.94 seconds ahead of the Soviet Union and Germany. That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown. I'm Alric Swiby.
And I'm Maureen Buchanan. That's your sports.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:30.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
32 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 31 in Montego Bay. This is Nationwide Tokyo Did You Know Fact.
Did you know that Helsinki was the first city to host the World Championships? Yes, that's a fact. In 1983, Helsinki, the capital of Finland, hosted the first World Championships.
That was Nationwide's Tokyo Did You Know Facts.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship. These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
I'm Sandre Roden.
Hello, Sandre Roden.
Hi, yeah.
There's a stranger in my studio. How you do?
I'm good, Ricardo.
Now, listeners, the Opposition People's National Party, PNP, has raised concerns over what they allege are election irregularities arising from last Wednesday's general election. While indicating that his party would not seek magisterial recounts, PNP President Mark Golding cited the Prime Minister's West Central St. Andrew constituency as requiring further scrutiny. He was addressing a media briefing today.
Having waited for the final count to establish the official results in each constituency, including ascertaining the number of spoiled or rejected ballots and how these were apportioned between the two parties, the advice that we have received from our lawyers who attended the final counts is that a magisterial recount is unlikely to change the outcome in any of the seats. In the case of West Central St. Andrew, however, the nature of the irregularities which took place there is being carefully scrutinized in anticipation of a case being brought to the constituted authority for appropriate relief.
That's Mark Golden, PMP president. The PMP also raised other concerns surrounding voter suppression. The party provided no evidence to support the concern. They're also pointing to the strategic use of government advertisements in the lead up to the elections as an area requiring reform.
Observer missions from the Organization of American States and CARICOM both endorsed the September 3 elections as free and fair of intimidation or harassment. The Electoral Office of Jamaica has also gone on record, listeners, as saying it has received no formal complaints from any group regarding election irregularities. But the General Secretary of the PMP, Dr. Dayton Campbell, he's saying many of the irregularities being raised by the PMP, that those would not have been seen by the observer groups.
CAFE, CARICOM and other OAS, other persons that came here would not have been out in the field to see that $100,000 was offered to an indoor agent not to work or offered to a cluster manager to give me the canvas of this party. They would not have seen that. They would not have seen what took place in the field. They would have been at the polling station, right? They would not have seen the night before that somebody was offered money to dip their finger in ink and therefore can't show up to the polling station. They would not have seen where we saw some persons, MPs, trying to separate people into lines as to who you are going to vote for. Totally inappropriate.
That's Dr. Dayton Campbell, PMP General Secretary. Meanwhile, the JLP is condemning the PMP for what it says is an attempt to call into question the legitimacy of the 2025 general election. The JLP says the PMP is guilty of baselessly impugning the competence and professionalism of the ECJ. JLP campaign chairman Dr. Christopher Tufton says the opposition should be condemned for their posture.
To suggest that that may have impacted the final results of the elections, to attempt to give an impression that somehow it may have impacted their number 2 or second place position, is, as far as we are concerned, guilty by hearsay, and that is what they're engaged in. And this is wrong, and we reject that, we condemn them for that, and we would ask them to either provide the evidence of this or cease and desist from making these wild accusations.
That's Dr. Christopher Tufton, JLP's campaign chairman. And the party's campaign spokesman, Kamina Johnson-Smith, says none of the country's official electoral authorities have raised any concerns about the outcome or conduct of the election in West Central St. Andrew. Of course, listeners, West Central St. Andrew is represented in Parliament by Prime Minister Dr. Holness. He has represented it since 1997. He defeated the PMP's Paul Buchanan by more than 2,000 votes in last Wednesday's general election.
Mrs. Johnson-Smith says the Prime Minister's winning margin is in keeping with the history and electoral voting pattern of the seat.
The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact, in particular, in respect of the Seaward primary polling stations, which were the last ones to come in, I think everyone remembers the nail-biting moments where the television stations had the Prime Minister as trailing, I believe was the language used, because those winning boxes were not in. And they're not winning boxes this election. Every election, the electors who vote in Seaward primary polling stations vote overwhelmingly in support of their preferred candidate, Andrew Michael Holness.
That's Kamina Johnson-Smith, JLP campaign spokesman. In the meantime, during a recent media briefing, the CARICOM Election Observation Mission to Jamaica says there's much the region can learn from the conduct of the country's general election. Mission Chief Fern Narcisse gave the assessment.
Jamaica, I don't know if the Jamaican populace is aware, but Jamaica is leading the region in a number of reforms, particularly in relation to registration of political parties and campaign financing. The introduction of the EVIS machine as well, we were aware of that, and so we were keen to look at that and see how that would have operated on poll day. And of course, the election center, something else that is quite attractive to a number of other Caribbean countries in terms of how that operates. So there are a number of features in your process that quite highly commendable, and they work very well, and certainly we were all very excited to see those types of organizations and how they operated.
That's Mission Chief of the CARICOM Election Observation Mission to Jamaica, Fern Narcisse. We have with us now one of the JLP's representatives on the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, Tom Tavares Finson. Good afternoon.
Hi, Ricardo. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Good.
Doing all right. How are you?
Good. Well, your run up to my interview was very comprehensive.
We thought it was important.
Yeah, I wonder if you would just permit me just to say something initially before you even ask me a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, just lovely being here and sharing the time with your listeners. In my almost 17 years at the Electoral Commission, this is the first time that I can recall where a major political party is questioning the result of a general election, and questioning the result of a general election when the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, on which representatives of the People's National Party sit, have indicated to the population that the election was run in a free and fair manner. And those results have been certified by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. It is unprecedented in my memory for a political party to bring into question the conduct of the Electoral Office of Jamaica, which is what they are seeking to do. Having said that, it is important for me also to point out a lot of attention is being placed on the Prime Minister's constituency of West Central, St. Andrew. And the argument being put is that his opponent was leading by several hundred votes, and then all of a sudden comes 2,100 votes from the Seaward Primary School voting cluster, listen to me carefully, which has 18 PDs. Those results traditionally support the Jamaica Labour Party overwhelmingly. And for listeners would recognize the name Olympic. This is where the Olympic division is. And they were late in coming to the counting center for a very simple reason. That division was conducting two elections, the general election and the by-election for the local government division of Olympic. So it wasn't just a question of counting one set of ballots, they were counting two sets of ballots. And that accounts for the tardiness in those boxes reaching the counting center. And if persons were interested to know, before casting all sorts of conspiracy theories, why these votes were late in reaching the counting center, the electoral office workers were conducting two elections there, a local government by-election and the general election, and that accounts for the tardiness.
Mr. Tavares Finson, let me back up a bit, because you started where I wanted to go first, which is the matter of how exactly, for Jamaicans who don't understand, how exactly the ECJ operates. So we know both major political parties are represented on the commission. In terms of the certification of the final result of the general election, walk our listeners and our viewers through how that happens.
The Electoral Commission of Jamaica consists of 4 persons who are selected. The chairman of that group is Mr. Earl Jarrett, former president of the Court of Appeal, former Chief Justice, and a gentleman who is a specialist in the area of technology make up the 4 members of the Electoral Commission. 2 persons are nominated by the Prime Minister, of which I am one, and 2 persons are nominated by the Leader of the Opposition, of which the General Secretary of the People's National Party is one. The Director of Elections also sits on that Electoral Commission. And we operate by virtue or through a desire to arrive at consensus. And it is for that reason why the Commission will appear over a period of time not to become involved in public areas of contention, because we always seek consensus. The electoral process itself is not conducted by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. It is conducted by the Electoral Office of Jamaica, which office sits, as you may or may not know, on Duke Street. Mm-hmm. And that is under the direct management of the Director of Elections. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica provides guidance and policy direction and operates a supervisory role of the office of the Electoral Office of Jamaica under the director, who is Mr. Glasspool Brown. So the elections are conducted by the Electoral Office of Jamaica. The process is gone through, a process agreed on by all the parties, including the People's National Party. Process is gone through. At the end of the day, the votes are counted in the polling stations, which is referred to as the preliminary count, and the following day, they are there is a final count at the counting stations. The Office of the Director of Elections supervises all of that and tabulates the results. Once those results are tabulated, the Director of Elections, notifies the Electoral Commission as to the result, notifies the Governor General, and certifies the election.
To your best knowledge, did the People's National Party raise any of the concerns we heard from them this morning before that final certification and the advice to the Governor General?
Okay.
Well, let me take that after the break. I'm up on a break. We're speaking to Tom Tavares Finson, one of the JLP's representatives on the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:47.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are going Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ochivios is...
It's 32 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees. No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
I'm Sondre Roden.
And we have with us one of the JLP's representatives on the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, Tom Tavares Finson. Listeners, we're trying our best to assist you in understanding the issues. Both political parties had media conferences today. The People's National Party has claimed a slew of irregularities arising from last Wednesday's general election. They have said they have not reported any of these matters to any official authority. Before the break, I asked Tom Tavares Finson whether he at the ECJ had heard of these allegations before the People's National Party put them into the public domain. You're going to respond, Mr. Tavares Finson.
Yes, let me just, for the benefit of your listenership, And if I can speak specifically, first of all, in relation to West Central, St. Andrew, that's the Prime Minister's constituency. On election day, in that particular constituency, for example, there are 102 polling stations. It means that there are at least 200 Electoral Office of Jamaica staff working on election day. Each polling station has a presiding officer who is a person who has authority within that station. It's not just an arbitrary individual. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, I can say without hesitation, got no complaint from any one of those 102 presiding officers about the conduct of the election there. There is something called an election center, which is set up on election day, that includes the director of elections, members of the military, members of the police, members of the press association, I believe, the church, cafe, and a number of other civilian groups. And it is chaired by the director of elections. That organization called Election Center, which you heard the lady from CARICOM refer to as an innovation that should be adopted elsewhere, received no complaint about that constituency.
Not a single one?
Not a single one.
Not even at the point where the counting was happening? Okay.
I'm going to get to it. There is also the constituted authority, which includes a number of persons of high character, if I can use that phrase, as well as the nominated members of the election, the commission.
And that includes the General Secretary of the PMP, correct?
No. This is the constituted authority.
The constituted authority.
Yes.
So these would only be the independent members of the commission?
Yes.
Okay, good.
To the best of my knowledge, no complaint was received there.
Mm-hmm.
So that there are a number of checks that one could use to determine if there was in fact a difficulty in the constituency. Now, I personally don't believe that it was in the recollection of the persons who spoke today about that constituency that the Olympic Division was conducting 2 elections. And anywhere in the corporate area where 2 elections were being held, the process quite naturally slowed down. Now, there is also an issue that I ask you to contemplate. In the normal course of things, if there is a complaint about a constituency, a serious complaint, and it is something that you definitely think that there was some issues there, one would ask for a magisterial recount. Not necessarily because you're looking at the numbers, because they'll say, oh, in this instance, 2,000 votes separated them, so why would you have a magisterial recount? You have a magisterial recount because it allows you access to the documents. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
It allows you access to go to court, to look at the poll book, to look at the ballots. It allows you to look at the used ballots, it pulls the veil, as it were, and shows you exactly what took place. So if you're serious about an allegation, then you ask for a magisterial recount. The question that you asked was whether there were complaints, any complaints as to the conduct of the election. There were. And there were complaints and discussions about the principal aspect of the slowness of some of the polling stations.
Mm-hmm.
We in Jamaica have gotten accustomed to going to a polling station, standing up for 15 minutes, voting and going about your business. It doesn't necessarily operate like that throughout the Caribbean or Latin America. People expect lines. We don't. And the Electoral Commission of Jamaica is not operating a system that takes for granted that there is going to be a line. We are not satisfied that voters had to wait 2 or 3 hours in some instances. The main issue that caused that was the fact that persons appeared without an identification card or with an identification card that has expired. The law has a particular process that says if you have an identification card, that is sufficient to establish your identity. Once the card is checked, every worker in the polling station has a photograph of you on the list. Once the ID is checked, you vote. In my instance, I had my ID. It took me less than 5 minutes to cast my vote. There was a lady in front of me without ID. It took literally 15 minutes because the process is you don't have an ID card. We have to find your name in what is referred to.
Right, and then you have to be sworn. But let me just be clear on something.
And you have to be fingerprinted. And that is what led, 1 minute, that is what led to some of the lengthy, some of the delays in the polling station, as well as the fact that in some polling stations, they were conducting this two-election process.
And outside of those complaints, because you conceded that those complaints came in, there were no other complaints?
There were no other complaints that would lead one to question the outcome of any election. In other words, and I'm just speaking generally.
Yes.
Complaints maybe about the location of a polling station, the fact that there was we are taking a decision that persons without ID cards would be dealt with separately. That never happened everywhere, so there were complaints about that. But there was no complaint. There has been no complaint that would challenge the outcome of the September 3 general election, which was held a week ago approximately.
So what do you think then would have been, I'm sorry, Sandra, would have been the PNP's intention this morning?
I cannot speak to their intention. What I can speak to is the consequence of their words. Because what they are doing is bringing the Electoral Commission of Jamaica into disrepute. They are suggesting that, and I've seen on the social media, well-known members, supporters of the PNP, who have said, and I can show it to you off air, who have said, this result was the result of a conspiracy between the police and the Electoral Office of Jamaica. Talk like that is dangerous because it undermines the basis of the democratic process, which is trust. And we are coming from a very, very dark place. As I said to you in recent memory, the first time that I can recall a political party calling into question the result of an election, calling into question the integrity of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica and the Director of Elections. It's the first time I have that recollection, certainly in recent memory.
On that point...
Wait 1 minute. When the General Secretary talk about buying of votes and that, that is talk that happens on both sides of the divide. So that is, I don't pay any attention to that.
Yes, there's another thing he mentioned, Mr. Tavares Finson, the voter suppression issue. Is that something that you heard anything about? He went at length to say that the persons who came in from the missions, the overseas missions, weren't on the ground, so they couldn't see it. But would there not be enough staff from the EOJ on the ground, so if there were complaints, would have gotten them?
No. But what I'm telling you, the same thing that he said about the GLP, GLP people say about the PNP, that the PNP have brought in ink, and that give you $5,000, and you put your finger in the ink so you can't vote. That is sort of common banter. And to be quite frank with you, it is something that is expressed on both sides. When I hear it, I listen politely and say, okay, let's move on. There is no government has ever come to power in this country that you can say a party went out and paid people to stay home. I never hear of that yet, but who knows where that is coming from. It is an attempt to subvert the outcome of the election, and it is not good. And what I would like to hear all the civic society groups to come out and say, we are not prepared to put up with this. Look here, international observers come to observe a process. And they are limited, restricted, of course, within the terms of that election cycle. To say that they weren't in people's house the night before to see if them get money. It is just childishness.
Yeah, I want to ask you, as it relates to the international election observers, though, what weight do these endorsements, I'd call them, carry as it relates to reinforcing public confidence in our elections?
If it carries a tremendous amount of weight. Recently, for example, former Prime Minister Golding was in Guyana with, I think it was a CARICOM group or OS group. We had OS persons here and we had CARICOM persons here. It is very important for the country for these people to give us a seal of approval. And when you get a seal of approval, it is published within all of their material. It is published verbally. It is published within the region. It is published internationally. When someone wants to come to Jamaica to invest money, and they invest money to invest their time, build a factory, as the case may be, and they want to look at the stability of the country, that's precisely what they look at. There was an election in 2025. What did the OAS have to say about it? What did CARICOM have to say about it? We, the Electoral Commission, cannot give ourselves a seal of approval. The seal of approval comes from persons who come to Jamaica as observers. And the Electoral Commission has gotten a seal of approval from the Organization of American States. I think it was former Prime Minister Kenny Anthony was here. And the young lady who was speaking, she is in fact the Chief Electoral Officer of Trinidad. And most of that group were made up of returning officers from the Caribbean.
Mr. Tavares Vincent, I'm out of time, but I want to ask you one more question because Dayton Campbell is a fellow commissioner of yours at the ECJ. Is his position tenable this afternoon?
He is appointed by the leader of the opposition. I don't comment about that.
Tom Tavares Vincent, he sits on the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, nominated by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
God bless you. No, thank you very much. And thank you for the listeners for paying attention to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. 6:01. All I will say is I think we're entering into very dangerous territory.
Yeah.
And we ought to tread very carefully. There are examples internationally of where this road leads to. We ought to be very careful. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The hour was brought to you by the KFC Value Menu. Grab a chicken box, famous bowl, crunch sandwich, or small popcorn chicken with combos starting at just $620. KFC. It's finger licking good.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, has raised concerns over what they allege are election irregularities arising from last Wednesday's general election. While indicating his party would not seek magisterial recounts, PNP President Mark Golding said Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's West Central St. Andrew constituency requires further scrutiny. He was addressing a media briefing on Thursday.
Having waited for the final count to establish the official results in each constituency, including ascertaining the number of spoiled or rejected ballots and how these were apportioned between the two parties, the advice that we have received from our lawyers who attended the final counts is that a magisterial recount is unlikely to change the outcome in any of the seats. In the case of West Central St. Andrew, however, the nature of the irregularities which took place there is being carefully scrutinized in anticipation of a case being brought to the constituted authority for appropriate relief.
The PNP also raised other concerns surrounding voter suppression. The party provided no evidence to support the concern. They're also pointing to the strategic use of government advertisements in the lead-up to the elections as an area requiring reform. Observer missions from the Organization of American States and CARICOM both endorsed the September 3 elections as fair and free of intimidation or harassment. The Electoral Office of Jamaica has also gone on record saying it has received no formal complaints from any group regarding potential election irregularities. The governing Jamaica Labour Party JLP has condemned the PNP for what it says is an attempt to call into question the legitimacy of the 2025 general election. The party's condemnation follows a media conference by the PNP in which its senior leadership raised questions about what they allege are irregularities that occurred on election day. The ECJ has also explicitly rejected allegations of impropriety in the conduct of elections and counting of ballots. JLP campaign chairman, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the opposition should be condemned for their posture.
To suggest that that may have impacted the final results of the elections, to attempt to give an impression that somehow it may have impacted their number 2 or second place position is, as far as we are concerned, guilty by hearsay, and that is what they're engaged in. And this is wrong, and we reject that, we condemn them for that, and we would ask them to either provide the evidence of this or cease and desist from making these wild accusations.
Dr. Tufton has also called into question the PNP's claims about voter suppression.
Their willingness to advance in an assertive way through a press conference that somehow voter suppression and vote buying may, and again, it's both explicitly stated but also implicitly transmitted, may have affected the outcome of the elections, again, to our mind, is a case of sour grapes. And what they need to do is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine exactly what they may have done wrong to place them in that position. We don't mind because we have done well and we have made our point and our case to the Jamaican people.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, JLP campaign chairman. Baseless, frivolous, and desperate. That's how JLP campaign spokesman Kamina Johnson-Smith is describing the PNP's decision to call into question the outcome of the election in West Central St. Andrew. Johnson-Smith says the PNP's allegations about the constituency show they have learnt nothing from their recent election loss.
They spoke of irregularities, but gave no details of their allegations. They're broadly referencing social media again. And it's difficult to say anything other than that the party finds the position taken by the PNP in respect of St. Andrew West Central to be baseless, to be frivolous, to be yet another indicator of a sense of desperation and an unwillingness to face the results and enter into introspection.
West Central St. Andrew is represented in Parliament by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He's represented the seat since 1997. Dr. Holness defeated the PNP's Paul Buchanan by more than 2,000 votes in the September 3 general election. Mrs. Johnson-Smith stressed that none of the country's electoral authorities have raised any concern about the outcome or conduct of the election in the constituency.
Having consulted with the Jamaica Labour Party representatives on the ECJ, it's our information and our best information that the presiding officers, that the returning officer and the electoral day workers deployed in the polling stations on election day, including those in West Central, that none of them reported any irregularities in West Central St. Andrew to the designated authorities. We're also advised that the Electoral Office of Jamaica's Election Centre, where representatives of both major political parties sit, along with several wide-ranging independent representatives, received absolutely no complaints about any irregularity in St. Andrew West Central.
Kamina Johnson-Smith, JLP campaign spokesman. Nationwide News understands that embattled chairman of the Police Officers Association, POA, Senior Superintendent of Police Wayne Cameron, is the subject of an investigation by the Fraud Squad concerning finances of the organization. Our sources say that's just one of the reasons that prompted Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake to ask SSP Cameron to vacate his role as POA chair. Sources close to the police high command say investigators of the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Fraud Squad are probing irregularities involving POA accounts that SSP Wayne Cameron has direct control over. SSP Cameron was first elected POA chairman in 2019 and re-elected in 2022. Since then, there have reportedly been no elections with no inclination to hold them. Sources say his continued holding of the office of chairman is undemocratic as elections are long overdue and there's been no good reason for the continued delay. Further, it's understood that some time ago SSP Wayne Cameron was asked to work under Assistant Commissioner of Police Marlon Nesbeth, who, at the time, had less than a year to go before retirement. Sources say it was clearly stated to SSP Cameron that he was to work with the ACP on a development plan for a particular branch of the JCF. SSP Cameron allegedly refused to work under Nesbeth as his superior. SSP Cameron allegedly said that Nesbeth wasn't competent enough to lead him. Sources say he instead went on a long vacation leave. Sources say when his leave expired, there were still a few days to go before ACP Nesbeth's departure. SSP Cameron reportedly went on sick leave as part of his continued protest. Nationwide News has reached out to SSP Cameron and made him aware of all the claims being made against him. We also told him that we're crafting a story based on the claims and invited him to respond. Up to news time, he had yet to take up our offer. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
This is the World Championships Athletes Profile.
National 800-meter star Navaski Anderson is making his third World Championship team, but he did it the hard way. The former St. Jago star finished second at the National Championships, but he failed to get the qualifying mark. However, it didn't take him long to achieve it. He did so in style by breaking his own national record for the second time this year and his fourth since 2022. He won the event at the Sound Running Sunset Tour meet in Los Angeles in 1 minute 44.40 seconds.
Navaski Anderson, who set the Jamaican national record on June 8th, trying to get back into the mix here, and he is to the lead.
Matty Erickson in the greens coming on, but it's Navaski Anderson with the lean at the line, and yeah, another national record for Navaski Anderson.
In his two previous appearances at the World Championships, Anderson failed to get out of the first round, and he'll be looking to correct that in Tokyo. Navaski will be in action on day 4 of the World Championships on September 16.
I bought my ticket to Tokyo. All grace to God. Definitely weightlifted, excited, and I can just go back in training and start hammering it again. Hammering for a few weeks in training, do what I do best, and just head to Tokyo. And you know, I'm just chilling and enjoying myself. So races out there, and I'm just trying to get better as I go along.
Follow Navaski Anderson at the World Championships in Tokyo, Japan in September on Nationwide 90 FM.
That was the World Championships Athletes Profile.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby.
And I'm Maureen Buchanan.
We start with swimming as president of the Aquatic Sports Association of Jamaica, Lance Rochester, has confirmed that Hillary Brown-Nixon has tendered her resignation as vice president in charge of competitive swimming. Brown-Nixon, who was elected unopposed to the executive position in December 2023, stepped down less than 2 years in her tenure. While the circumstances surrounding her resignation have not been detailed publicly, Rochester expressed gratitude for her contribution to the sport during her tenure.
We are committed to ensuring a seamless transition. We have a technical committee in place that will ensure that everything gets delivered as it should be, and the VP has left the portfolio in a strong state of affairs as we transition towards the remainder of the year into our AGM in December.
Rochester assured stakeholders that the ASAJ has measures in place to ensure continuity in the competitive swimming program.
We always have a technical committee which supports the ASAJ board and supports the vice president directly. So in addition to the elected officers, we'll continue to ensure that there is the high standard of output from the swimming portfolio. But no, we're not looking at any emergency meeting at this time. In any case, if we were to have an interim vice president, we would not need an emergency meeting. The board can co-opt someone if it so desires.
Lance Rochester.
Two-time Olympic silver medalist Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn believes the Jamaican trio of Shelly and Fraser-Pryce, Shericka Jackson and Tina Clayton have a real shot at making the podium at the upcoming World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
I can feel it, so where everybody is going to be prepared on the day. And no matter what you have done last week, it's who is more prepared on the day. You're going to have rounds. You're going to have different things playing on that day. And I definitely believe that the Jamaicans, the trio that we have, anyone can medal.
Cuthbert-Flynn explained that all three female sprinters have a point to prove at the Global Championship.
I think Tia Clayton, she's coming into her own. Shericka Jackson, no, we have not seen a lot of her this year because of the injury she suffered last year. But I believe if she can put her race together, she definitely has a chance to medal. Shelly and Fraser-Pryce, you can never count her out. She's a veteran. Yes, she's run a few races so far, but on the day, she's a true champion, and I believe that there is a possibility for her to also get a medal in that 100 meters. So the Jamaicans, on a whole, will not be left out in the medal count in the 100 meters.
Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, starting on Friday at 6 p.m.
Now to footballer Steve McLaren, head coach of Jamaica's senior men's football team, believes the coaching staff have found a nugget in newcomer Bailey Tai Kadamartir. The 20-year-old who plies his trade on English soil for Lincoln City was a key figure in Jamaica's recent two matches. Jamaica closed the September window of the ongoing FIFA World Cup qualifiers undefeated and atop Group B following victories over Bermuda and Trinidad and Tobago.
We found some what I call nuggets in terms of young players and players untried. And no one better than Kadamartir when you don't have Walner Brown, who has been the first choice. And you bring in a young player in like Kadamartir and Shamar back, and we had Mikel. He's done a remarkable job because to win you have to be effective and score goals, and he can do that as well. Apart from his work rate, apart from his running, I think he's been excellent for us in the first two games.
Now, the Reggae Boys will begin the second round of matches on October 10 when they travel to Curacao, after which they clash with Bermuda on October 14 at the National Stadium in Kingston.
Madrid will host the 2027 Men's Champions League final with Warsaw to stage the women's final. Atletico Madrid's 70,000 seating capacity Estadio Metropolitano has been awarded the men's showpiece after Milan's San Siro was stripped of the honour. UEFA decided to open bidding for the event amid concerns about refurbishment plans at the San Siro, and the match will now take place in the Spanish capital. Madrid's Estadio Metropolitano last hosted the Champions League final in 2019 when Liverpool defeated Tottenham Hotspur. The women's final will be staged in Poland's capital at Warsaw. UEFA also announced that the Super Cup match in 2026 will take place in Salzburg, Austria. UEFA took the decision at a meeting of its executive committee in Tirana in Albania, where it also discussed requests from Spain and Italy's Football Association to play domestic league matches abroad, but did not come to a decision on the issue.
Now to cycling, as General Secretary of the Jamaica Cycling Federation, Donna K. Sharp, says top female cyclist Laurie Sharp is making a steady recovery following an accident last month that sidelined her from competition. Laurie, who is the reigning Caribbean Cycling Championships Women Road Race champion, was involved in a crash during a training ride in early August. Donna Kay, who is also the mother of Laurie, says she has been undergoing physiotherapy and remains in good spirits.
So she did surgery to her ankle, so she's recovering from that. She did her first follow-up on Monday, post-surgery follow-up, so things are progressing well. And so her shoulder is healing on its own, so there's improvement. Just after the incident, she was, I'd say, traumatized, having been treated now. She's a little in a better frame of mind and hoping that she can actually make the team to go overseas, because it's just more than defending her title. It's some placements will allow for qualification for the CAC Games next year. So it's important for her, it's important for the country if she could represent and get a chance to strike for the spot at CAC.
Donna Kay says there is still no definitive word on whether Laurie will be fit in time to defend her title at this year's Caribbean Championships.
It's a very close call at this point. No decision made. It's based on my understanding, she will be right on the borderline of that healing period. However, the doctors have recommended that 2 weeks after Monday, she'll be able to do light resistance spinning, and thereafter they'll load her up in terms of how she spins on her smart trainer to regain some fitness. And with the physiotherapy as well, she will be right on the borderline, so a decision will need to be taken.
The General Secretary also confirmed that Laurie has been receiving medical support through the Jamaica Athletes Insurance Plan.
She was able to tap into that. I mean, every miko, the surgery is expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the treatment, and she has to wear this boot, so that alone is costly. So, yes, insurance has helped.
Donna Kay Sharp.
President of the Jamaica Squash Association, Karen Anderson, says that they have plans to host 2 exciting new competitions in 2025 as part of its ongoing efforts to grow the sport locally and highlight key global observances. The first tournament is scheduled for mid-September and will coincide with the Women's Squash Week, a global initiative that celebrates female participation in squash.
It's just outreach and trying to get exposure and build exposures in getting women to participate and play the sport. And it probably will be just one day out of that entire week that it happens. It'll be worldwide.
The second event will take place in October and will serve a dual purpose, marking World Squash Day and supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We're actually looking to do a tournament, and that one would be to, bring awareness to breast cancer. As we know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so we've had persons in squash who've had incidents of breast cancer, so we want to try and build that awareness, but also at the same time build awareness during World Squash Day, which is an event that they always try to highlight and promote the sport and get more eyes on the sport. So we're looking to tie the two together and have a tournament of some kind during October.
Karen Anderson. Both tournaments are expected to be hosted in Kingston, with further details including exact dates, registration information, and event formats to be announced in the coming weeks.
This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown. Now, as the countdown to the World Athletics Championships Tokyo 25 continues, we highlight that before Jamaican women won individual major titles, the country earned its first senior global gold in women's event when winning the 4x100 meters relay in Tokyo in 1991. Merlin Ottey, who had earned bronze in the 100 and 200 meters, ran a storming anchor leg, lifting the country to gold in a time of 41.94 seconds ahead of the Soviet Union and Germany. That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown. I'm Alric Swiby.
I'm Maureen Buchanan. That's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship. These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
track and field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on. No Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant race. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championship from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Due to our live broadcast of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to run from September 12 to 20, there will be no airing of Nationwide this morning. The early morning news package will resume following the conclusion of the games. Nationwide apologizes for the inconvenience caused.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. So with the dust now settled from last week's general election, PNP President Mark Golding has moved to secure his position as opposition leader in the House of Representatives. According to the PNP president, the PNP slate of MPs have already expressed their vote of confidence in his leadership.
I am happy to announce that all our MPs-elect, except for one who is traveling abroad, have signed a letter to the Governor-General confirming their support for me to be appointed leader of the opposition. Since the election, our party has been active. A meeting of the officers of the party was held yesterday to discuss the way forward and internal issues that we need to chart a time frame for relating to things like our various internal conferences, annual conference, and so on. This was followed by another gathering of our candidates and the national campaign team to thank everyone for their efforts and to have initial dialogue around the conduct of the elections in each constituency.
Mark Golding. Now, the move is being seen as an attempt to shore up Mr. Golding's position following the election defeat. Political watchers have been speculating whether a potential challenger could emerge to Golding's leadership. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, should Mark Golding resign as PNP president? And I can tell you that our comments on our Facebook platform, where Mark Brown is saying no, he needs to stay so Andrew can beat him 2 more elections. Hillary Robertson Hickling saying, yes, he's a man for this season. I hope that both he and Andrew realize that most Jamaicans have given up on the political process. More than 60% did not vote. It is a serious situation. It is one thing to fight politics. It is another thing to govern. Let me see. Jason Stewart is saying, how come the delegates decide who leads the party, but the MPs get to decide if Marky G stays? Isn't that undemocratic? Let me see. Does it make a difference? Frassout is questioning if it makes a difference. George Elliott saying, Mark Golding has no choice but to step down from the seat that he has been keeping warm for Peter Bunting. Narissa is saying, we got tired for see Mark Golding face because he's not going anywhere. JJ is questioning, who cares? Anyone come will get a beating for the 4th term. Neil Walters is saying a resounding no. Marky G staying is best for the JLP and the country. Dwayne Walters is saying no, he should stay. He is easy to beat. Let me see. Carlington Bartley is saying he said he's a man of integrity. He promised comrades that he would lead them out of the wilderness, and he didn't deliver. Would I want to resign, yes or not? Not my business, says Karen Gordon. Without any hesitation, no. 4th term is a good possibility with him there. Let me see. No, he should stay until the 2030 election. Clifton Ricardo Russell saying yes, him and the General Secretary. The objective was to win 32 or more seats. That's a failure. To unite the party and to take back the traditional seats was part of the plan to win state power. Positive Kamar says, no, he shouldn't. If you're just joining us, we're inside the Court of Public Opinion asking, should Mark Golding resign as PNP president? Jay Marr is saying on our Instagram, Mark Golding has peaked and will be 65, 66 next election. He need to resign. Time come. Child of Money saying, not my business. Let me see. Absolutely. And take Dayton Campbell with him, says Junior Nana. All right. No. He moved them from 14 to 28 seats. That's according to Adriana Tropics. She's saying Mark Golding should stay because it is a win to move the People's National Party from 14 to 28 seats. Let's see what's happening on our YouTube platform. John Brown in put in a bracket screaming Gaia yard, Gaia yard. Angle favorable is saying, not my business. Election will be called sooner than you think, says Omar Williams. Oshoy Powell says, we will see until them tired of him. All right, guys, I'm getting the wrap-up signal from Bugs. So I'm going to end the public opinion at this point in time. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:30.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Alliance Financial Services Limited, AFSL, a licensed exchange and remittance provider, has officially signed an agreement with RIA Money Transfer. AFSL says this partnership allows it to leverage RIA's industry-leading service portfolio across its network in Jamaica. The partnership introduces an additional international money transfer provider to AFSL's portfolio and is expected to further enhance the company's remittance offerings to Jamaican consumers, both in branch and online. AFSL is also a primary agent for MoneyGram payment systems in Jamaica. With the addition of RIA, AFSL now offers customers greater flexibility and choice when sending or receiving funds from abroad. Cygnus Credit Investments Limited, SCI, has announced its financial results for the year ended June 30, 2025. For the first time in its history, SCI's record total investment income exceeded $15.39 million, up 52.4% from the $10.10 million in 2024. This while net investment income surged by nearly 90% to record just over $10 million. SCI says these achievements were fueled by Cygnus Puerto Rico LLC, which delivered $4.67 million in profits. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 43 cents to buy $1, 219 Jamaican dollars and 45 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 116 Jamaican dollars and 69 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Are you ready for something mega? Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels Tour promotion. April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Rex, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst. Choose concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart. Best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
All roads lead to Pop Fashion, 54 to 56 Barnett Street, Montego Bay. We're having a back-to-school special from now until September 12. Yes, from now until September 12, we stock all your back-to-school items. Seagull backpack with lunch bag, Seagull school shoes, and hardcover books. We also have white blouse and boys' khaki suits. If you don't see what you want, ask for it or just run upstairs. We're open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Follow us at TikTok Pop Fashion or down to Pop Fashion, 54 to 56 Barnett Street, Montego Bay for great deals. Remember, special ends September 12. Pop Fashion, your back-to-school one-stop shop.
Nationwide, 90 FM now presents a paid broadcast of a media briefing held by the Jamaica Labour Party on Thursday, September 11, 2025. This is being brought to you by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to another media conference convened by the governing Jamaica Labour Party. This media conference comes after our successful general election campaign, which culminated on the 3rd of September with the Jamaica Labour Party commanding a majority of the seats in the Parliament. I want to say a special welcome to those tuned in online, those who are watching this media conference from outside of Jamaica. We appreciate your viewership. Hello as well to our media partners who have attended upon this media conference and who are watching online as well. A special welcome as well to former Member of Parliament for Northern Clarendon and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Pernell Charles Sr., who has joined us today at Belmont Road at the party headquarters for this media conference. To my far right is Kamina Johnson-Smith, a member of a leading spokesperson of the Jamaica Labour Party's Communication Task Force. And to my right is the Honourable Dr. Chris Tufton, our Campaign Committee Chairman. Without any further delay, I turn over to Dr. Tufton for his comments.
Thank you very much, Abka, my colleague, Minister Johnson-Smith, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience and those in cyberspace. I hear that's not the right term, but almost. Thank you for joining us. The People's National Party had a press briefing recently, sometime today, and we, in keeping with attempting to facilitate a smooth transition, having heard the voice of the Jamaican people as expressed through the ballot, felt it necessary to respond. Mic check, no mic, mic check. Is it? No, it's not. Microphone check. It's on? Oh, okay. All right, sorry about that. So I was saying in keeping with the desire of the duly elected government of the Jamaica Labour Party led by Dr. Andrew Holness to alleviate the fears and concerns that may be generated from the approach and the tone of that press briefing to facilitate a smooth transition, which is in keeping with our democratic tradition. We felt that it was necessary to call the media together and to provide some clarity and response to what we here can characterize based on an assessment of that press briefing as saying one thing but insinuating several other things which are not in keeping with our democracy and the democratic principles that we have fought so hard for. I'm prepared to capture my few comments under the theme of an organization, the PNP that is, that are attempting to justify why they lost without any evidence to support the innuendos, the hearsays and rumors of what they think, as opposed to a process of self-reflection where it is clear that they fell short, that the Jamaican people expressed their confidence in this party and this government to continue. None of that was captured in their reflection at their press briefing. Neither was there any substantial evidence to support the various claims that they made. And this for us is unfortunate, and it only serves, we believe, to fuel a level of uncertainty, perhaps even anger by their supporters, as has been characterized by their campaign generally, not to mention the rumors that were a feature of that particular campaign. Sour grapes is how I am tempted to describe this response coming out of the elections. The facts are that they lost. The people have expressed their will to continue with this government, which we are grateful for. And what I would advise, even if it's not my place so to do, the PNP to do, is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine why they fell short and what they may need to do to be an effective opposition over the next term. For starters, the PNP sought to cast doubt on the electoral process by calling for an independent inquiry into the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. The reality is that after every general election, there is a process of review that is automatic almost by the representatives on the Electoral Commission and the independent members. Obviously, for those who don't know, there are representatives from both political organizations, PNP and the JLP, who are present and who are part of the governance and implementation arrangements of our electoral process supported in law. And so the PNP cannot claim a disadvantage in this regard. And if they identify weaknesses, then clearly they must also place some of that responsibility on their own members. But the process of review is normally an automatic one, as I understand it. However, to extend that, which is what I think they attempted to do, sometimes even without saying it, to suggest that that may have impacted the final results of the elections, to attempt to give an impression that somehow it may have impacted their number 2 or second place position, is, as far as we are concerned, guilty by hearsay, and that is what they're engaged in. And this is wrong, and we reject that, we condemn them for that, and we would ask them to either provide the evidence of this or cease and desist from making these wild accusations, which clearly fuels a level of speculation and anger that is not good for democracy and certainly not good for the transition that is taking place. The other point that I want to raise is the explicit comment around voter suppression and vote buying. Now, again, they have not provided any evidence. In fact, their position is that, as seen on social media, again, rumors, hearsay, innuendos, which from our perspective does not reflect truth because there is no evidence to suggest it. It is again a case of the PNP engaging in guilty by hearsay, which clearly is not appropriate and does not augur well for a democratic tradition. So again, we say to them, if they have the evidence, they should provide the evidence and let the law take its course. We have seen cases on social media too, suggesting on their side, persons making comments. We have maintained our position to go out there and do the work and to ensure that our supporters or workers provide the appropriate representation as part of the campaign and hence impact the outcome of those elections. Their willingness to advance in an assertive way through a press conference that somehow voter suppression and vote buying may, and again, it's both explicitly stated but also implicitly transmitted, may have affected the outcome of the elections. Again, to our mind, is a case of sour grapes. And what they need to do is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine exactly what they may have done wrong to place them in that position. We don't mind because we have done well and we have made our point and our case to the Jamaican people. You know, there's a history around this issue of voter suppression and vote buying. Not one that we want to dwell on, but it was in 2019 that their own General Secretary, or former General Secretary Paul Burke, reported in the media that comrades, and I'm quoting him, have no moral authority to condemn anyone for vote buying. Now, we have not made that an issue, but since they have raised it, we can respond by saying their own internal functionaries, certainly in that period, have made comments about vote buying as a matter of recognition that it has happened in their camp. We have no such occurrence, not to my memory anyway, and therefore we want to again condemn that statement or that insinuation and urge the People's National Party to engage in their own self-reflection about where they went wrong, as opposed to trying to blame others for their defeat at the polls. The other point I want to raise is the point around their comments around the conduct of their campaign. And their point is that they fell short even though they ran a good campaign. Now, normally we wouldn't make this an issue. We felt that the better side won, the better team won, and that is good enough for us. And we are now focused on how we manage and lead on behalf of the Jamaican people. But we felt compelled to make a comment since they raised it, that they didn't run the better campaign. And I say so with conviction, with commitment to truth. For starters, the Jamaican people supported the better team, partly because of our performance over the years and our effectiveness to the extent that more people supported us than supported them, of communicating our performance and communicating the quality of our candidates, the quality and leadership of our own leader, and of course the commitments that we have made through our manifesto going forward. We believe that we ran the better campaign also, and very importantly, because our campaign, unlike theirs, was not characterized by anger, rumors, innuendos, accusations without evidence, much in keeping with the press conference that they just had, where they attempted to character assassinate so many individuals, not focused on programs and policies, rather focusing on personalities every chance that they got. And again, we believe that that was bad for our democracy, bad for Jamaica, and bad for bringing the country forward, which is why partly we believe that the people of Jamaica supported the Jamaica Labour Party for the third term. I want to close my segment by saying a final point. There is a narrative by some in the PNP, some by their surrogates, that somehow this government is a minority government, almost insinuating that somehow we are not a legitimately elected government. We obviously reject that outrightly, and we condemn those who push that narrative. It's a dangerous narrative. For starters, our democracy has always operated on the majority will of the electorate as it relates to seat count. We won the majority of the seats, and that is enough conclusion that we are the legitimate authority to carry the country forward. Secondly, we were declared by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica as the party, the political organization that got the majority of the seats. And the numbers are there. The recounts took place. The willingness of persons to lodge complaints, to do recounts, all of that process has worked. And that, again, should be enough evidence to support the legitimacy of the administration. So we want to discourage that narrative among those who are looking on and encourage the Jamaican people. Let us focus on how we move forward as a government to serve the people of Jamaica and to do so in a collaborative way. And let us not be distracted by the utterances of an opposition which is still sobbing over their loss and misplaced focusing on things that are not really helping the cause of democracy, but rather trying to shift responsibility from their own inadequacies to blaming everybody else, including the system. There is a distinction between the legitimacy of a government as served by the democratic process and the need to work together to improve the non-participation of persons 18 years and older. Apathy has always been a challenge within our democracy. The two are not the same. And from our perspective, we must all work together, including the PNP, to do more to engage and to attract greater participation in the democratic process. That has absolutely nothing to do with the elected government, elected political organization, which we are, having gone through a competitive process. And I think those who try to conflate both issues are being misplaced in their position. This government finally will work and continue to work to advance the welfare and the well-being of the Jamaican people with Andrew Holness as our leader and Prime Minister, and in his judgment, a team forming the cabinet that he will announce momentarily. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. During his media conference earlier today, we are advised that the embattled opposition leader and his legal advisor made a few comments about St. Andrew West Central and the conduct of the polls on the 3rd of September. We invite Kamina to make a few comments on this matter.
Thank you. Thanks to you both. Good afternoon, everyone, members of the media here with us, as well as those who have joined us online. Good afternoon always to all the persons who follow us on social media, who are participating, and in particular, our members of the Jamaican community overseas, or diaspora. We know you've been following things closely, and you continue to do so, and we welcome that you continue to maintain this strong connection with Jamaica. On the matter of the press conference called by the PNP today, I want to say that I sit here today again with a great feeling of disappointment. I would be surprised if a lot of Jamaicans don't join us in the feeling that when the leader of the opposition, the leader of the PNP, on the night of September 3rd, conceded, it was gracious. And in that context, I think we apparently mistakenly believed that there was therefore a recognition that there is generally a better way to do things in support of Jamaica and in support of democracy. The press conference that was called today put all of that to rest once more, as the PNP lost another opportunity to do better. The PNP has said they took the time to expressly state that they won't be filing any magisterial recount in any constituency. And for those who are not aware, normally that's the process taken where there's a close enough election for people to feel that if they follow the count really closely, that they may be able to change the result. So usually find that there are margins of less than 100, and in fact, usually significantly less than that. And a process, part of the democratic process, where the lawyers attend and ensure that the intention of the voter is seen. So they have said that they're not doing that, regardless of the fact, of course, that the time has already passed for them to have been able to do so. They took the time this morning to say they're not doing that. They, however, have decided that in a seat where the victory was proclaimed with a margin of 2,110 votes, that is the seat of St. Andrew West Central, the seat in which the Most Honorable Andrew Holness was a successful candidate, that they're contemplating a constitutional motion in respect of that result. They spoke of irregularities, but gave no details of their allegations. They're broadly referencing social media again. And it's difficult to say anything other than that the party finds the position taken by the PNP in respect of St. Andrew West Central to be baseless, to be frivolous, to be yet another indicator of a sense of desperation and an unwillingness to face the results and enter into introspection. The PNP not having exercised their right to file for a magisterial recount and to now take this position raises its own set of questions. And I just want to share a few more considerations why it is that we feel that this step is so wrong-footed and unfortunate. Having consulted with the Jamaica Labour Party representatives on the ECJ, it's our information and our best information that the presiding officers, that the returning officer and the electoral day workers deployed in the polling stations on election day, including those in West Central, that none of them reported any irregularities in West Central St. Andrew to the designated authorities. We're also advised that the Electoral Office of Jamaica's Election Center, where representatives of both major political parties sit, along with several wide-ranging independent representatives, received absolutely no complaints about any irregularity in St. Andrew West Central on general election day. Furthermore, it's our information that the constituted authority, which has the power to stop the holding of an election in a particular constituency where irregularities are perceived, so they can actually do that in the course of the day. And this authority is chaired by the chairman of the Electoral Commission. They also received no report of any irregularity in the constituency on election day. So the several legal bodies or constituted bodies which are empowered to take decisions in respect of irregularities, none of them received any reports. The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact, in particular, in respect of the Seaward primary polling stations, which were the last ones to come in, I think everyone remembers the nail-biting moments where the television stations had the Prime Minister as trailing, I believe was the language used, because those winning boxes were not in. And they're not winning boxes this election. Every election, the electors who vote in Seaward primary polling stations vote overwhelmingly in support of their preferred candidate, Andrew Michael Holness. And the PNP in those polling stations generally doesn't even get 100 votes. It's not unusual. You see it in constituencies across the whole length and breadth of Jamaica. There are some polling stations that vote overwhelmingly in support of a particular candidate. In the Prime Minister's constituency, Seaward primary polling stations do generally produce these very high margins. And the numbers are there. This is not, difficult research to conduct. I was trying to find my little graph because I had the chart, but unfortunately misplaced it before we sat down today. But the numbers are quite clear that this margin is not unusual. And it's in that overall context, in the totality of those circumstances, that it's very difficult to say that the PNP's, to say anything other than the fact that the PNP's approach today, the matter that they are contemplating, is without basis. It is mischievous and, again, demonstrative of a lack of readiness to lead. If they can't even lead in opposition, how could they lead in government when they really cannot take any opportunity to just be big? It's very disappointing. I want to raise one more issue, and this is one of particular legal concern for us. And in addition to the points which the Chairman Tufton raised, the fact that we too have heard persons making allegations in respect of vote buying and voter suppression of the on the part of the PNP. But these are things that you wait to try to get evidence for. You make an inquiry, but nothing has really brought those issues fully together. What does, however, provide us with greater and more concrete concern is the issue of the leader of the opposition touring constituencies apart from his own on election day, and in being in the vicinity of polling stations outside of his constituency on election day. Videos and photographs of this activity have now come to hand, including his visit in the precincts of a polling station in central Kingston in particular, where of the considered legal view that the conduct of the opposition leader on general election day, September 3rd, 2025, is inconsistent with the provisions of the Representation of the People's Act, and we will say more on this at a later date. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Kamina, for comprehensive comments. We exist in a world where disinformation, misinformation, and fake news are prevalent. It is clear, and it has become clear, due to the conduct during the general election campaign, that the PNP is prepared to utilize these dark arts to advance their interest. The Jamaica Labour Party, and I indicated this from as early as April last year, is prepared to respond strongly to any act or any utterances of misinformation, disinformation, and fake news put forward into the public domain by the PNP. The calling of this media conference is confirmation of our position in terms of our preparedness to respond strongly to these acts by the opposition. I now open the floor for questions. Please introduce yourself, your media house, and ask your question.
Afternoon, Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. Is the Prime Minister prepared to respond to questions about his victory in West Central St. Andrew?
What questions? Meaning, I've just laid out the facts. And again, I was speaking to Abka before about the fact that I didn't have the chart with the numbers for the elections in 2020, 2016, 2007. They are quite clear that there are trends in the voting which are absolutely aligned with and consistent with what took place in this 2025 election. So there are no questions, and none of the relevant and empowered and appropriately legally constituted bodies, the returning officers, the presiding officer, the election day workers, the constituted authority, the electoral center, none of these bodies received any such reports. So where it only seems that these are raised by the PNP in order to create another line of discussion, to take the discussion away from questions like, Mr. Golding, are you going to resign in the same way Dr. Phillips did? Are you going to resign in the same way Mrs. Simpson-Miller did? That type of question, that the GenSec, Dr. Campbell, having failed in your first bid as General Secretary of the PNP, will you resign? Will you offer it to your leader of opposition, of the opposition? They want to take the media and the national discussion away from those questions. So they raise something which is quite frankly a non-issue, and it's why I took the time to point out that they have not taken action in the seats that it would be logical. So if you won or lost something closely, if you lost a seat closely, one would think you'd follow up with a magisterial recount to see what's possible. You have not done that in any of the close seats, and there were a few. But you have decided that with a margin of 2,110, with consistent voting patterns and no reports of any actual irregularities, that this is where you're going to raise public attention. It's nothing more than political mischief making.
Yeah. Can I also say that this is a pattern by the PNP even during the campaign itself, where they try to define our agenda by raising these issues, and they've done it right through the campaign. It's been a characteristic feature. We, on the other hand, have maintained our focus on what our campaign is and what clearly is in the best interest of the Jamaican people. For the Most Honorable Prime Minister to give a response to this issue would be an insult to the people who elected him. It would be a distraction, an insult to the process that took him there and allowed the people who elected him to elect him. And frankly speaking, a distraction from the greater good that he must now serve as Prime Minister in driving the policies, the new vision, the programs to move us forward. So, I think we say here with levels of certainty and confidence that this is a non-issue, and it's another bogeyman by the PNP in an attempt at distractions, and the people have rejected that clearly in terms of the outcome of the elections.
Thank you.
Second question. You mentioned Dr. Dayton Campbell earlier. In light of the comments he made at this morning's media briefing, do you believe that his tenure or his status as an ECJ commissioner is tenable?
The electoral process allows for the political organizations to determine who represents them. The PNP should make that determination clearly. From our perspective, it is a potential, should I say, conflict somewhat for him to hold one position where he had the opportunity and has had the opportunity with legitimacy and authority to represent the best interests of the electoral process, and while being there is now using the opportunity to criticize the very entity that he was a part of. I think the Jamaican people is smart enough to understand the anomaly and the conflict in that position. And my own view is that his moral authority to lead and to provide representation is compromised. But that's their business, and I don't think we should get bogged down too much in their business. Let them say what they want, and let the people decide. The people have already decided as it relates to the elections. If they want to further dig a hole for themselves, that's their response. That's their business.
And in support of what Chris has said, the people of Jamaica might recall that Dr. Campbell made two comments in the lead up to the general election, which caused the ECJ to have to put out statements of clarity In the first instance, he suggested that he was purchasing integrity lamps to be used to scrutinize voters' IDs of electors. The ECJ put out a statement indicating that such an activity would be inappropriate. Then Dr. Campbell issued a statement where he purported to suggest that he might have some idea of the voting pattern or how election day workers and members of the security forces voted. The ECJ again issued a statement where there was a line in the statement which indicated that there's no way for any individual to assert with any certainty concerning how election day workers or any elector voted. Dr. Campbell might want to contemplate that he is doing a disservice to the good name of the ECJ, which is an institution that has served Jamaica very well over many years in the aftermath of a country which has been afflicted by political violence.
Absolutely. Thank you. Kelisha Williams, Television Jamaica. Going back to the points you made earlier in regards to, you mentioned wild accusations and the PNP's press conference being laced with innuendos, and you spoke specifically about the voter suppression and vote buying. So my question is the Jamaica Labour Party outrightly denying those allegations that there were voter suppression or vote buying in the September 3rd general election?
Is the Jamaica Labour Party what? Sorry?
Denying. Yeah.
Listen, we operate with a process. I have no knowledge of it. If someone has knowledge, they should bring it forward. That's what we're saying. You can't just go out there and say, wolf, wolf, and have no evidence, no basis on which to say it. Now, I am not going to swear for thousands and thousands of people who have been involved in the electoral process. What I'll say is that from a policy perspective, as a political organization, the Jamaica Labour Party, as a policy, does not support vote buying. We have not given any instruction for vote buying to take place. We have gone out there on our policies, our achievements, our manifesto, our political organization, the quality of our leadership at both the party as well as the constituency, and we believe the people have responded positively sufficient to place us back in office. Now, a responsible political organization cannot just go out there and start to spew allegations, particularly in the context that they have lost, as a means of trying to almost legitimize their loss, because that's what they seem to be doing. We're not going to subscribe to that. So I'm giving you a long-winded response. It's not our policy so to do. And if the PNP thinks that it is happening, they should provide the evidence. Otherwise, they should shut up. They should shut up, and I say so as diplomatically as possible, and focus on being an opposition, because democracy requires an opposition in the parliament, and we don't have a problem with that. We are the government, and the government in waiting, they are the opposition. They should go focus on their opposition role and let us focus on being the government, because that's what the people's wishes have confirmed.
And quite interesting is that the PNP said that they got information from social media, but the evidence is not sufficient to confirm the allegations, yet they brought it to a media conference. Our view is that this business of something is said on social media, and therefore that's the barometer to bring it to the platform of a media conference, is not acceptable. It's an indicator of the desperation of the PNP. And the PNP General Secretary might want to contemplate that there's a lot of things being said. There are a lot of things being said on social media, including about him.
Absolutely.
Does that mean that it's appropriate to bring those allegations to the platform of a media conference? I think not.
And that's so true. I won't say anything more to that, but you're absolutely right. Social media is never the basis on which to make these wild and broad statements.
Thank you. Next question.
Good afternoon. I'm Moy Harriet from CVM. My first question. Dr. Tufton, you spoke about being back in government. So this time around, we would have seen where the Jamaica Labour Party, your majority has reduced. As a party, what do you make of this result? Do you think that perhaps, there must have been some sort of voter dissatisfaction, or could it be something else?
Okay, so first of all, I think it needs to be clear that the majority of the people have expressed confidence in the Jamaica Labour Party to continue. And that for us is a vote of confidence. We have never said during our campaign that everything was perfect. We have said we have done more for the people of Jamaica over the last 9 years than any previous administration. I don't need to go over it, but we have stabilized the economy, we have reduced serious crimes, we have reduced poverty to its lowest level, brought unemployment to its lowest level, and I could go on and on. But we have also put out a manifesto to say that these are the things that we want to continue to build on, to continue to do more for Jamaicans. Our democracy gives persons the right to determine, to vote, to express themselves. Some have opted not to, others have done so. And at the end of the day, we are the party that they have elected. So my position, our position is that we accept their vote of confidence in humility, with humility, and our intention is to work harder to continue to win and maintain their confidence, and hopefully to build on where we are currently. In terms of the issues that have come up, to the extent that some persons are dissatisfied, we have an opportunity to address that level of dissatisfaction as a government, and we will continue to work harder so to do.
Senator Johnson Smith, earlier in response to Mahiri's question, you posed a few questions of your own regarding the resignation of Mr. Golding and Dr. Campbell. Is it, just for clarity, is it that you're saying that they should step down?
I'm saying that these are questions that are being asked, and that another explanation as to why they have raised this, why they took the time to call a press conference to make these utterances, like the fact that they're not going to file any magisterial recounts when the time has legally passed for it, and that they have chosen to focus on a constituency that has a consistent voting pattern over years. I'm saying that a likely or a possible reason for this approach could well be to avoid the questions that are being asked in several quarters. And I stated them already. Thank you.
And my final question, I believe the PNP recently called for an independent inquiry into the election following reports of long wait times. Does the JLP agree with this call, one? And two, do you subscribe to the school of thought that these issues on election day may have played into the low voter turnout that we would have seen last Wednesday?
I believe Chris had commented initially in his opening comments about the matter of the call by the PNP for an independent inquiry, alluding to it as a smokescreen. But if he has any follow-up comments, I invite him to make them.
Well, I'd only add that there is automatically a period of review after every election. I believe the Electoral Commission will engage that review. Both members representing both political organizations as well as the independent members will be a part of that review. The JLP is still, assessing. We are confident enough, and as certified by the Electoral Commission, that the JLP won the election decisively, and we are looking forward to serving as a government into the third term. Beyond that, any review that takes place will consider all factors, and that has to be allowed, that process has to be allowed. What we will not accept and we reject, whether it is implied or it is stated, as came out at the PNP's conference, is that somehow their chance of winning the election was because of either malpractices, vote buying, or slowness of voting. We're not accepting that at all. And the Electoral Commission clearly has not accepted that. And it would be an insult to the Jamaican people, and it's certainly a discredit to the PNP to push that narrative when what the people want now is how we're going to continue to solve their problems. Absolutely. And that's what we are focused on. Yeah. Getting our Prime Minister duly inaugurated, or ministers, based on his own judgment, a cabinet constituted, and the rest of us as supporting team members supporting the government in a collaborative way for the benefit of the people of Jamaica. And that's why I say the PNP needs to, we understand the hurt, we understand their disappointment. They need to go lick their wounds and go behind closed doors and reflect and kind of wheel and come again. Guess what? We have all been there. Take it from a man who was lost by 13 votes and won by nearly 5,000. I've seen and experienced the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory. Political organizations are there too. But what you don't do is cry sour grapes and pretend as if the people did not speak, because they have spoken. And I think that's what I think they need to focus on, rather than this kind of, you know what I mean.
I want to just add to the point made by Dr. Tufton, that I think we have to be very careful about respecting our institutions. I'm not sure how many of you followed the report of the head of the CARICOM Electoral Observer Mission here. But she said Jamaica's model, or Jamaica's electoral system, is a model for the world, and it's a model for the region. And as they are here observing, they are learning and looking at things that can be done throughout the region to improve their own systems based on ours. We have strong institutions, and a part of that is because they are respected. The people who participate in them, both the political representatives and the independent, operate with a level of integrity that allows the system to function with reviews and continued learning from its processes. Part of that is also having international observation. So we had the CARICOM mission here. We had the OAS mission here. We also had CAFE. All of these bodies have said that the election was well run, that there was no hiccup and no irregularity, no issue that would have affected the result in any way. And it was one to be recognized as a successful election. And it's in that context that it's so surprising that the PNP would still want to bring this position in calling for an independent review. Are they saying that CAFE is not a sound institution? Are they saying that CARICOM should not send electoral missions because their report is not sound? Are they saying that of the OAS electoral mission, observation mission? What are they saying? I think Jamaica needs to really take a step back and start to evaluate what the approach that the PNP has to national issues like institutions and like democracy. They say one thing and then they undermine right beside it, and it is unhealthy and disappointing. And I really am hopeful that that they will introspect. Notwithstanding having had a press conference, that they'll introspect and maybe take some advice as to whether this is in fact the best route for Jamaica and the best route even for them as a party at this time.
And just before we close, another narrative pushed by the PNP during their media conference was that this was a close election. Yeah. No doubt that narrative was pushed by Mark and Dick in a bid to stave off talk in their party about a potential challenge or calls for new leadership in their party. But a couple of facts must be placed on the table. The Jamaica Labour Party won the election by a comfortable 7 seats. We won the popular vote by over 10,000. And every political pundit who knows politics in Jamaica will know that there are several seats that you look to in a general election to decide or to evaluate where the election is going. I'll list about 9 of them, and in all 9, the Jamaica Labour Party won decisively. Whether you call it weather vane seats or swing seats, the Jamaica Labour Party prevailed decisively. East Rural St. Andrew won by over 800 votes. Southwest St. Elizabeth won by 1,240 votes. West St. Mary, the Jamaica Labour Party prevailed by over 900 votes. And there are a number of them, including West Central St. James. The Jamaica Labour Party won by 700 votes. If you look to St. Anne Southwest, the Jamaica Labour Party won by over 2,170 votes. St. Anne Northwest, the Jamaica Labour Party's candidate, Crystal Lee, won by over 500 votes. So the attempt by Dayton Campbell and Mark Golding to suggest that this was a close election and they just fell short is another bid by the PNP to pull the wool over the eyes of the people of Jamaica. And some clarity must be had. This was not a close election. The people of Jamaica decisively rejected the lies and misinformation from the PNP and chose the party of Dr. Andrew Holness, the Jamaica Labour Party, which has been putting forward policies which are in the best interest of Jamaica. On that note, we thank the people of Jamaica again for their support. We thank them for supporting the Jamaica Labour Party, for choosing Jamaica, and for choosing the Jamaica Labour Party. Thank you much to members of the media who attended this media conference, and for those of you in Jamaica and overseas who tuned in. We appreciate your listenership and your viewership. Have a very good afternoon.
That was a paid broadcast of a media briefing held by the Jamaica Labour Party on Thursday, September 11, 2025. It was brought to you by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Access every time, everywhere I go. No dealing, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built here. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Escape to Idle Wild in a grill where sand and serenity meet. Visit idlewild.com or call 876-957-3302. Idle Wild and stay a while.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on No Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant rid. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championship from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Due to our live broadcast of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to run from September 12 to 20, there will be no airing of Nationwide this morning. The early morning news package will resume following the conclusion of the games. Nationwide apologizes for the inconvenience caused.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica. Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
This is the World Championships Athletes Profile.
The Jamaican starts well. Shanika Ricketts, silver medalist. This is round one for Ricketts. Oh, hit the board really well. Triple jumper Shanika Ricketts will be attending her 5th World Championships as she leads Jamaica's medal charge in the event in Tokyo, Japan in September. The 33-year-old former Vere Technical High School standout appeared at the 2015, 17, 19 and 2022 editions and will be looking for her 3rd medal, having bagged silver in Doha and Eugene. Jamaica's reigning Sportswoman of the Year has won medals at every major global championships, her biggest moment coming at the Paris Olympic Games in 2024, where she won silver. Shanika Ricketts, twice a World Championship silver medalist, flies down the runway, hits the board brilliantly. Oh, Ricketts turns up to the party. Ricketts is unquestionably one of the true global stars of the event, and she's steadily building into her season. Who'll bet against her finally hitting the top of the podium in the Japanese capital?
Every season the aim is to be on top of the podium. This season is nothing different, and I think I have too many silver medals now. I'm going for the gold this time.
Ricketts will be in action on day number 4 of competition in Japan on September 14. The final is 2 days later on September 16.
I think it's just about grit and just putting in the work. It doesn't matter what happens before you go into major championships, it's just what happens on the day. And the only way you can control that is by being consistent. So that's what I'm focused on doing.
Follow Shanika Ricketts at the World Championships in Japan on Nationwide 90 FM.
That was the World Championships Athletes Profile.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
You're back with us. It's Nationwide at 5. We're switching our focus to World Championships 2025. The biggest name in athletics are poised to go head-to-head for global honors over 9 days of action at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the World Athletics Championships starting on Friday at 6 p.m. Our sports editor, Wayne Walker, is in Tokyo. Wayne, good evening. Well, good morning.
Good morning to you, Sanjay. Good morning.
Well,
can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you clearly, seeing you clearly. I just want to ask you, first of all, Wayne, what is the atmosphere like on the ground ahead of the start of the championships?
Okay, but before I get into it, let me just warn you, I'm going to pan a bit, and you're going to see some members of the media across there, for those who are watching on the Zoom, good. So they're here to collect their media accreditation. I got mine just now. Here it is. I'm trying to get a shot of it. This is my media accreditation. I just picked it up just now.
Yes.
So they're here to pick this up. It gives you access clearly. And we also got a media kit, a welcome kit. A lot of goodies in there. So this is what they're getting.
So you're bringing back any of the goodies, Wayne?
Well, let's see. We still have some ways to go, you know. But yeah, and the reason why I mentioned that is because they're sitting there waiting on their names to be called to tell them when their accreditation is ready. So from time to time you might hear somebody making an announcement. Yeah. So don't worry about it. Okay. All right. So the atmosphere. I don't know if it's a modern phenomena, where for the last, I've been to quite a few of these global championships. I'm fortunate to be at these global championships, and maybe for the last 6 or 7 of them, I noticed the lead up to the start with them very low key. Last year in Paris, I remember one day telling Cliff that if you fly into Paris, you'd not know that the Olympic Games is going on because nobody spoke about it. In fact, the Parisians normally go away in the summer to maybe the Nice or somewhere down, down to the south of France for holiday. Yeah. And with the Olympics coming into their city in Paris, you'd expect them to stay. And they all went away, so it was filled with visitors and so on. And so I was just wondering, so last night I was thinking about when I flew into Tokyo last night, I expected to see, the banners and the billboards for the main athletes. It's this morning, like I came into the prefecture, the Sendai Agaya, and I saw Noel Laz in the train station on one of the billboards. That was the first time since I came in. Mind you, I came in just yesterday, so maybe it's not a good measuring stick. But I saw Noel Laz in the train station just now, and I saw somebody, so I didn't know who it was. And I compared that to previous events in Russia in 2030 in Moscow. When you arrived in Moscow, you could tell something was going on. Yeah. Usain was all over the place. Johan, even though he didn't run because he was injured. And so I was just wondering, but the Japanese have something to prove because in 2019, the shutter gates of the gymnasium here, and so they do all kind of stuff here. And one of the things that happening now, if you look to the far side there, the volunteers are going through their paces because the championship starts tomorrow. And as I say, in Russia you could see everything. What the Japanese don't know, though, they have something to prove. And if there's one set of people in the world who are ready and always ready to prove their doubters wrong, the Japanese are very proud people. They built a stadium which is adjoining this building. I'm heading over there in a short while to do a feature, and they built it in 2019 for the Olympic Games, and COVID hit. So the Olympic Games was played out to empty stadium and empty venues. And so they were really disappointed because they were ready to show the world what they can do. And so this is personal for them. They want to put on a good show, and they believe they've got the resources. That's not the problem. And they believe they've got what it takes to show themselves off to the world. And because of that, I'm just going to bypass the build-up and say, come tomorrow, the Japanese are going to come out in their numbers. I'm sure of that.
So who are some of the standout Jamaican athletes that we should be keeping an eye on this year?
I think the usual suspects. Kishin, Oblique has been showing good form as well. There's also Akeem Blake to a lesser extent. And with all due respect to him, I mean, he's just not running the times that Oblique and Kishin are running, and not, sort of getting the sort of status that both are getting as well. Shelley and Fraser Price, I expect her to get a great deal of media and press here, if not for winning a medal, but because it's a swan song.
This is,
and because of because of the athlete that she's been over the years, starting in fact, it's a homecoming for her because her global professional career started here in Japan. Down in Osaka in 2007, she ran on the relay team. So it's coming full circle for her, Japan starting, Japan ending. And because of that, I think the stadium, the 2 nights that she's going to be performing, maybe 3 because she's going to be on the relay team as well, you expect the stadium to be special nights on those nights. Usain is also here as well. He's an ambassador and a representative for World Athletics, so he's here as well. He's going to command a great deal of attention, like nobody else. So Shelley's going to grab a lot of the attention, if only for the fact that she's leaving. Sherika Jackson is the reigning 200 meters world champion. I expect her to do well as well. Not running the sort of times that I would expect her to.
Do you expect her to retain it?
It's because she's going to be hard pressed to do so, because there's a young lady out of the United States, Melissa Jefferson. She's blowing people away in both the 100 and the 200, and I think she's odds-on favorite too in both of them. If she loses both or either one of them, it would be a major shock. There's also Brittany Brown, who finished third in the US trial. She's really showing some good form, and she's going to have a lot to say about it. And then Juju, what's her name? Julian Alfred.
St.
Lucia, the Olympic 100 meter champion. So Sherika's going to be hard pressed to retain her title.
Yeah.
I think she's going to have to run out of her skin to win a medal. So the bag loads of hardware that would come back from these major championships, so I don't expect it. In fact, I don't see us getting more than six medals. And if we get up to 6, it would not be a bad thing at all.
I see. So Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage starting at 6 p.m. on Friday. What can listeners, viewers expect from your coverage?
Right, so I'll be in the stadium like I was in Paris last year, mainly to join the team in studio because we're going to mount a panel. Yeah. I think Leighton Levy is going to be leading that panel. So I'll be constantly on live, so anything they dip in and out with me. Yeah. And of course, the athletes, I'm going to be standing just, a stone throw away from them. So as soon as they get off the track or off the field, they come straight to us. So you wouldn't have to wait long to get the interviews, which is a really nice feature because in 4 years, you wait until tomorrow. The first Jamaican in action tomorrow will be Samantha Hall. She goes in the women's discus. I think she's in flight B, and that goes off at 7 p.m. Jamaica time. Yeah. And then the only other Jamaican interest in the morning session is the 4x400 meters mixed relay team. So the morning sessions will only be on weekends, Saturday and Sunday morning sessions. But other days we can sleep in our beds and come late to the stadium in the night and so on. But the 100 meters prelim go off tomorrow as well, and the 100 meters heats go off on the final of the 4x400 meters mixed relay. So not a great deal, participation from Jamaica tomorrow. And I tell you though, the athletes who are running tomorrow or are performing tomorrow, I think they'll take a break. They train down the road at the University of Tokyo. Yeah. And so they'll take a break there? Yes, this morning on my way up. Yeah. Right. And of course, the biggest hotel in the world, my goodness, it just escapes me. It's been used as an athlete's village. Because the second time I'm seeing something like this, when I was in Germany in 2009, when Usain broke that world record, there's a hotel called Berlin in the heart of the capital. Yeah. And I tell you, Sanjay, it's spread right across the city. It's one hotel. And I never thought I would have seen a hotel bigger than Berlin in Germany. The one here that's hosting the athletes, all of them, I think this is the biggest hotel in the world. I'm going to go down there tomorrow and try to get something from it. But it sets up nicely, and let's see what goes on from here on in.
All right, Wayne, thank you for joining us. That's Wayne Walker. He's sharing with us all that's happening over there in Tokyo. Of course, we expect coverage. We'll have live coverage right here on Nationwide 90 FM. So you'll get all the updates. You'll see what's happening with our athletes. We're starting tomorrow at Friday at 6 p.m. Yeah, that was Wayne Walker, and that was our update on World Championships. We're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. But before we go, the studio line 630-9371-4618-8255. I'm expecting your calls right after the break. 630-9371-4618-8255.
Reliable, full stop, not come on. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Built it, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on. No Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant rid. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championship from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Due to our live broadcast of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to run from September 12 to 20, there will be no airing of Nationwide this morning. The early morning news package will resume following the conclusion of the games. Nationwide apologizes for the inconvenience caused.
We're back with it Nationwide at 5, and we are live and direct. We're taking calls 630-937-124-618-8255. Papa Nana, good evening.
How you do?
I'm good, and are you?
Well, me alright. I want to teach you a little lesson, although you have information at your fingertip, young people nowadays.
No, man, me can learn same way, man.
I know, that's why we can't graduate, because we never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Alright, listen to me now. Did you know that a boarhog cannot hide in sheep clothing for long because the smell give him away?
You
never know that?
Never know that.
Don't matter how the boarhog hides in a sheep clothing, his smell must give him away. Yes. You notice the Prime Minister is always the target of the PNP. Now the Prime Minister sees become a target. The same thing like what cost them the election by personalizing the Prime Minister, work and prostituting the Prime Minister name. And they come back with the same thing they hasn't learned them lesson. Right? They must accept defeat. And if you real chicken, you can go take mangoes, watch it.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, you look for take mangoes, watch chicken? You can't do that. The PNP must understand and accept losses, man. And the other thing, because of the people, time is short. You know, you have some very decent pollsters in Jamaica put away from some recognized pollsters because, take for instance, Blue Dot got it wrong. Well, I wouldn't even talk about Con Anderson because his credibility gone right down now. Right? But the three nearest people who actually got it right, it was the Minister of National Security, what is near Harris Chang, Cliff Hughes, and a gentleman, I don't know if you know about him, Winston Ennis. He's the consular for
yes, man, I know Winston Ennis.
Division.
Yes.
Very decent man. Very decent man.
Former deputy mayor.
Because I actually grew up in Glasgow, so I know him. Very decent guy. He was accurate. He told me 34. And I was going to cuss him, tell him, say, no, I have no ambition. Yes, but the man and Harris Chang and Cliff Hughes was right. You understand? You have some very good pollsters, man, I'm telling you. You know? But there's one thing I just want to tell the Prime Minister. Please, I am asking him. Try and look about his people. You can't have one side of people who you take over in a ministry. And if a JLP or anybody at all, although this government is not for people who vote for them alone, it's for everybody. But share the thing different, no man, because I'm not a fact. I'm telling you, JLP, go and ask a job, they send you to the PNP who them know directly not help them. Right? And I would advise the Prime Minister from the 4th of September, start the campaign. And if the PNP behaves so, 2030 is going to be the easiest election that the JLP is going to win. Mark my word, I may not live to see it, but mark my word, we'll have a good night.
All right.
Mark my word.
I hear you, Papa Nana. Bobby, good evening.
Good evening, my good friend Sandra. How are you?
Good evening. And Ricardo's here too.
Oh man, oh Lord. No, you see, him is hiding under sheep clothing, you know, you see.
No, he wasn't hiding under sheep. He wasn't hiding. Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening. Ricardo. Yes, you know, I just want to ask a question. What is wrong with the PMP? Every time they get defeat, it's like they cannot come to terms. Huh? Which election court they are going to go to look on that seat there in St. Andrew? They don't lose. Huh? Lord have mercy has come to Papa Nana. You dare not buy your chicken and mangoes, you come and watch it. My word, man. You see, I was one of the cluster supervisor at one polling station over here in some city, at the Ensom City primary school, and voting goes smoothly. It was observed properly. There was no buying a vote, no tampering at all. Everything went smoothly. So I don't know what is wrong with the PMP.
No, but how can you say there was no buying of votes? I listened to the press conference from the PMP, and the General Secretary says that some of the people weren't underground, so they can't see what happened the night before. So you can't say there was no buying of votes.
Well, the fact is, if
that's what he said.
If they have evidence, come forward with it.
I agree with you. The statements, just making random statements, don't work no more. Come with the evidence. If everybody have picture phone, everybody can take videos. If there's evidence, I agree. Come forward with it. Yeah.
Right. You see, and one final thing I want to say, I am sending a message tonight to the Honorable Prime Minister and his dearly beloved wife. Look here. False innuendos and lies has been telling on the both of you about your assets and so on, and it even mentioned in the leadership debate. I am asking you, Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, and your wife, take somebody to court. The first person you sue, the rest of them will stop. Right? It is so bad. Do you know what 11th grade student said to me last week? Bobby, you can send a message to the Prime Minister and tell him that he is the head of the country. And when people has been telling lies and false innuendos on him, and he's not doing nothing, it looks so bad not only on him, and the country. So, Mr. Holness, do something now, man. Carry somebody to court, sue them for a whole lot of money, and see if everybody else will stop. Okay then, yeah? And God bless you, yeah?
Alright, thank you, Bobby. Errol, good evening.
Good. John J.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Errol.
Sir?
Alright, what on?
Well, I'm there, you know. Good, man.
You still a celebrate?
Yeah, man. Everything good, man. Back at work, you know?
Alright.
Well, me I say, me the market to that, say, the MP, them, put him back to run the party. But MP for the delegate do that. How would choose him?
Well, I don't think he said to run the party. He said as opposition leader.
Yeah, as opposition leader. Who chose him? Delegate or MP?
So to be opposition leader, the MPs choose, but the delegates will choose the party president. He sort of went around the question in that way because that wasn't really what he was asked.
So, what he really asked?
He was asked whether he would offer his resignation to the wider party, which would include the delegates, and he leaned on the fact that the 27 or 26 of the members of parliament elect have backed him.
So I wish one down foreign.
I don't know error.
The one they were down foreign, the one they now backing, the one that come female.
No, I don't think we can conclude that.
Yes, man. The one that now back him, the one that come to him, the run.
I don't know that.
I see, the problematic
the person could just be, and even if it's a he, the person could just be overseas.
No, sir. No, Ricardo.
I hear you.
That one day I come female, that one that now back him.
I don't know about that. Anyway, what else on your mind?
What else on my mind? Just them two little things, you know? Them lose, so them stop talking about corruption and thieving vote and this now. Them lose. Give it up.
All right, Errol. Yeah, man. Thanks for the call.
Respect.
Yeah. We don't know who that one person is. And Mr. Golding did not answer the direct question, which is that would he offer his resignation to the wider party? He leaned on the fact that he's gotten the parliamentary backing. Remember, the role of the PNP president can be separated from
the opposition leader. Yeah. But didn't he cement his term for 2 years? Wasn't that a resolution they passed at the NEC?
I think he can only. I think the nearest time he can be challenged will be next September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's secure until next September.
Right.
So
which is a very odd arrangement to put in place. Kind of undemocratic, but yeah.
But it was what their
as opposed
NEC put in.
Yes, to ensure that there was stability. That they didn't go through the frequent challenges anymore.
As they have gone through. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. And people would say that has hurt their chances. There are a lot of people in my own conversation, Ricardo, with other young persons like myself, they say they just don't think the PNP is united. They say yes, there's a facade of Mark Golding and the people around him, but they still don't think the party has come together. There's a school of thought, Ricardo, that if the outgoing member of parliament for Southeast St. Anne was more front and center, it would have given a more convincing argument as it relates to a PNP being united. But since she took the back step, said she's not going to be participating in all of that, she only came out, I think, once to support her very good friend and supporter, Natalie Garvey, and that's the only time you saw her on the campaign trail. But she didn't, go out there front and center as she normally did. So I can understand the criticism that people would have, that they still don't think it's as united as they say it is.
I think the PNP is trying to have it both ways. I think there's some amount of deflecting going on with this election integrity and irregularities talk, because I think when they do that, then the attention is moved away from the fact, no matter how you want to spin it, that Mark Golding and Dayton Campbell led the People's National Party to defeat.
To a loss.
They lost.
It's a loss.
And if you did lose by one, you'd have lost.
Yeah.
You didn't get to the goal that you set out to do, and the goal that you set out to for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
You didn't get there. It's a loss.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Somebody said to me that I've never seen a situation where a party leader has lost and so many people seem to be trying to spin it as some kind of victory.
A victory lap. He recovered 14 seats.
You lost.
Yes, still a loss.
And you know what hindsight has told me, Sandre, how gender and class play a role still in this society and this country.
Yeah.
Mrs. Simpson Miller lost that election in 2016 by a single seat.
One.
And she was hounded
to leave.
In fact, I reminded myself, there was actually a leadership challenge. Carl Blight, I think, was his. Yeah. He challenged her. I mean, he lost, and convincingly. But there was a challenge, and people hounded her out. Dr. Phillips was hounded out as well. Mark Golding didn't even sign the letter for him to be reappointed opposition leader and questioned his authority to appoint senators. So, it's a little bit rich for me now to see this kind of posturing. It's very odd.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's a matter for the PNP delegates to reflect on and to decide.
Well, a year from now.
Certainly if there's going to come a challenge, then the groundwork for that challenge would have to start
now. Yeah.
You'd have to start putting out your feelers and getting yourself ready. And I don't know that there will be a challenge, but I think the PNP is trying to have it both ways. And I don't think we should be going about it as a country this way.
Yeah.
The baseless, and at this point it is baseless, questioning of the election outcome, whether it be in a specific constituency or specific constituencies or nationally, is unhelpful. We shouldn't go down that road in this country. We see where it leads, and the countries that have dabbled in this kind of thing, they have not recovered
at all.
They have not recovered. We shouldn't do it.
Yeah. It's a very bad road, and when you look at the numbers, it really baffles me, Ricardo, because it takes one Google search to go on EOJ's website to look at the historical numbers in St. Andrew West Central, to see the alignment, to see the same polling divisions, and to see the numbers where the Prime Minister would win 120 to 1, 142 to 2.
But you know what else, Andre? People in the media were irresponsible on election night. People who ought to have known better, I think, gave too much fodder to the idea that the Prime Minister was somehow on course to lose or was straying without providing the proper context to what was happening. I think that was dangerous and it was reckless, and I think it fed into what we're seeing now. Anyway. Aye. That's all the time we have Bugs. Bugs ready for game yard. Bugs say wrap it up. Dana Davey, thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, or Pilot, the man behind the controls. My colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business. All our callers, contributors, or sponsors, we appreciate you. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Sancho Roden.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for